WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Well, I'm not really sure how rare this is because this is a Westward American single malt Pinot Noir cask that made it all the way over here to Germany. 45%, €79.90 is the retail price of this. And the age, no age statement. Natural color, no mention. Non-chilled filtered, not on the label. All right, guys, at Westward, you need to do your homework. We expect this from single malt Scotch from Germany, from Scotland, and we expect it from single malt Scotch or single malt American whiskey in the States as well. Whiskey base number 186069. Now, according to my internet research, this is actually has spent at least 3 years in a new number 2, I think it is, then char barrel. And then it spent at least, that was 3 years in the new number 2 char barrel, and at least 2 years, or around 2 years, in a Pinot Noir cask that comes from Oregon. It says so here, a tribute to Oregon's legendary Willamette Valley wine country, raised in Oregon. I cannot understand what the word raised means in whiskey terminology. We have bottled in, which means not distilled and not matured. Raised in just means something about either cattle or kids. I don't think about whiskey when I think about the word raised. Now, I do know this is basically a very locally made product with a local malted barley from the area, but Now, I'm going to talk about something else I'm a little bit unhappy with. I'm going to rant and rave for a moment. I'm on the www.westwardwhiskey.com, and I look at about our story. And our story says, for nearly 2 decades, we have brought something new, different, and relevant to whiskey, and we are proud to serve as a leading voice for American single malt. Yeah, that doesn't tell me anything about your story. I have a wonderful video that I did in German 2 years ago where I talked about Aviator Gin and them actually selling it off and having money for that, and the investors and people coming into the business and so on. I love the story of people. 2 decades, yay, bringing something new, different, and relevant to whiskey. All right, a little bit too brief in my opinion. You could have a little bit more information if you wanted. Some people wanted, I guess. All right, our process, it says here, at Westward, there are no shortcuts. And therein lies the beauty. We pursue perfection by creating flavor in every step of our long, slow process. I'm going to get back to that for a second, all right? So they first talk about brewing. Westward started off as a brewing company, basically, all right? So we begin by brewing an artisanal, not craft, artisanal American ale from scratch using locally malted barley, ale yeast, and a slow, low temperature fermentation. Very good, very good. So I used to read something about maybe up to 5 to 6 days. We geeks like to know a little bit more about that fermentation time there. Distillation, we distill twice in custom low reflux pot stills. Now, low reflux means fast. Reflux means it goes up and it comes back down. It goes up and it comes back down. It goes up and it comes back down. Low reflux just means it goes up and is over. So that is not really the best definition, at least the way I understand it, of slow. All right, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that's something I just found out, or I just was reading. I was like, wait a second, that contradicts most of what you said so far. And that we designed to create a robust spirit and transform our fresh, fruitful ale into whiskey. And maturation, we've matured to perfection in new, lightly charred American oak barrels selected to accentuate the bold characteristics of our whiskey. And mingling, no, it's not vatting, no, it's not marriaging, it's mingling. We mingle our barrels in small batches. No definition. Small batch is at 550, who knows, to achieve Westward's signature flavor profile, balance, and bold. All right, very good. That oxymoron, balanced but bold. Why not? And that's what I read the entire story. That's not much information, to be honest. That's a little bit of marketing blah blah, but not much is really there. Now, the category American single malt is something that's being created. We do in the American whiskey regulations have straight bourbon, we have straight rye, we have straight corn, and we have straight malt. But apparently that's not enough. Apparently, people in the United States want to copy what we have over in Europe with single malt and Japan. So they are trying to create their own category. And there's a lot of discussion going on. Does it have to be 51% malt? Does it be 100% malt? What regulations? What type of barrels? Does it have to be new barrels or used barrels and all that? And there's a lot of stuff going on that people are figuring out and trying to agree upon. And I think that's good. And Westward actually does have a big voice in that discussion. And I think that is something that's very helpful. All right. So I've talked a long time now about this. What just reached Germany would be here are, this is our single malt, which I'm going to compare it to. Here we also have our stout, so we have all three over here, now imported by Kirsch. All these cost about 80 euros per bottle at the moment. And what I'm going to pull out is the old bottle of Westward that I also bought. This I bought in the summer of 2019. I bought this online in an auction from the UK for 35 euros. In the States, this ran for about $80, and I bought it for 35 euros. Well, that's all the problem we always have with the so-called supply and demand chain. This was an unknown whiskey over here in Europe, and so no one wanted it. I didn't know about it either. I don't know what that is. Let's bid like 50 euros and see what we get. I won, and I had that bottle, so this is probably one of my cheaper bottles here. I'm not a big fan of the Westward single malt, I must admit. Just doesn't tickle my fancy. Most single malts are not something that I like yet from the United States. Bart from the Scotch Test Dummies loves a good single malt. I'm working my way towards that. So, interesting cork, by the way. It feels a little bit like a metal, but it's actually, it seems to be a plastic, but that's okay. So the first question I have is, which bottle design do you like better? Do you like the new ones? Da-da-da. Or do you like the old ones? I kind of like the old ones better. Now, this is more for a cocktail. This is more for the bar. This is more for the eye, the optics. This was more something that I kind of went, oh, I know that. That feels and see, it looks familiar. All right. Of the three on the table, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like the wine cask the best. Why? Because the Pinot Noir actually does something to this whiskey, which is it improves it, it elevates it. It actually makes this much, much better than the base product. I get a nice little red moment. I always get a little bit of cinnamon here with the Westward. A little bit of big red, a little bit of like a strawberry Pop-Tart. And underneath there's a dark creme brulee that's been burnt too much. It's like a burnt butterscotch on there. It's a little bit of burnt maltedness. And there's a lot, it's almost a maltiness that's whole grain. It's not bad, but it's not rocking my boat. Going over here to our normal, nothing, no finish, no stout, no Pinot Noir. I get also that cinnamon. Interesting. And over here, I get a little bit more of an earthy type of grounded, almost like an oatmeal. Interesting. All right, let's try this. 45%. Why not 46? Is it non-chilled filtered? Why 45? So, on the back of the bottle, we do have the following information. 100% malted barley, aged to perfection, plum, apricot, and chocolate. Granchi, apple platane, I have no idea what that is, and nutmeg with a rich raisin, dark orchard fruit, and sweet malt finish. Yay. And by the way, I don't think it's just me and my bad eyesight. Um, Black on dark purple burgundy is not the best color here for the writing, but that's on the front. I like this much better. That gold on that burgundy really pops, really looks nice. Good job, guys. I'm not sure about the aqua, the bluish, but hey, I do like this. Cheers. Mm-hmm. Not bad. It's got a unique flavor. It does have. I'm thinking about the Balcones single malt that I had a few months ago. That was with a rum finish. And there was a little bit in the background, a little bit of a lime type of sherbet moment. I'm getting that here again. I like that. That's good. I get the I'm going to call it the strawberry Pop-Tart moment. Filling of the strawberry Pop-Tart. Pop-Tart. I'm getting a dark, almost burnt butterscotch, especially on the palate here. It's not bad. It's very fruity. It's very, very nice. This is a C whiskey for me. It's definitely not my wheelhouse. This is not something I'm going to actually grab and taste and enjoy for the evening on a voluntary basis. Someone gave it, I wouldn't spit it out, but hey, I wouldn't go buy another bottle of this. Interesting. All right. Very good. So a C whiskey, value for money, more of a D. I think 80 euros for a no age statement with not as much information as I'd like. A little bit too much. A little bit of that big red gum again. This flavor profile is too bold and not balanced at all for me. There's a lot of bitterness in my mouth. There's a little bit of sour. And there's a lot of alcohol, young alcohol here. This is something that I would not like to taste again. All right, so it's like, why was this even almost made? For me and my personal profile. All right, last but not least is the original. Let's see if it tastes a little bit different. It should. Why? Because I just had them 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. They tasted a little bit different there. Similar. Now, what happened is I bought this bottle 2 years ago. I did a bottle share. Most of it stayed with me. And so there's been about 2 years where the bottle has had this much air in it. And I think this has changed a little bit. I took out 5CL just a couple of days ago. I sent them a friend, and so that's the reason there. This has a time. This has a little. It could be either they changed their process a little bit, or that the air in this bottle actually did it some good. I'm going to go with the second variation here. I like this the best. This is more of a C minus, and this is a D something. All right, so my first question is what is your favorite single malt from the United States? It could be from the West Coast, it could be from Texas, it could be from any place in the East Coast or any place in between. And if you can't answer that, what is your favorite single malt outside of Europe? So it could be South Africa, it could be Japan, it could be a Canadian, it could be anything, it could be wherever you want to go outside of Europe. What is your favorite single malt? Like, subscribe, tell others, and my second video about the stout will be here online exactly after this. All the best. See you soon. Whiskey Jason. Bye-bye.